do
Right.
get excited. I love chatting about rugby, you know that?
You can tell. Well, I enjoy it too. Right. Well, listen, people seem to be enjoying it, listening to it as well. Let's kick off the brand new episode of The Offload with Donncha and Tommy. Dunners, the Irish team has been announced for Fiji. We have to get this in the bag, though, because you've got a busy old meeting to go to.
Yes, I do. I'm off to parent-teacher meetings. So it's just the way it falls at the moment, Tommy. They're all falling in. So we did Robin's yesterday, and today we have Jake and Anna's. So
Right. And how did Robin's go? Like, I mean, whenever they're talking about and their attention span's not great and they're kind of messers, did they look at you and go, well, I wonder where they get that from?
No, because they're always very nice, aren't they? Teachers are nice people. I don't know what Michael O'Leary's problem with the teachers is. I always find them very, very sound. But you're right, man. I should actually wear Homer Simpson glasses going into these meetings. I genuinely, my own attention span to stay in it. And then, do you know what they do? They do something quite clever by the teacher. They humble you good and smart. They put you on one of those small chairs.
Big time.
Yeah, so you're all at eye level. Basically, I lose all my height and I'm sitting on this thing, honestly, and I'm afraid to move too much because my arse could easily go through it.
I mean, whatever about me on one of those seats, or Jenny, or my wife, or most parents, you on one of I mean, that's so unfair.
I honestly, my arse could inhale that yolk. I could be walking out of the meeting with it. Do you know what? But what happened in Robin's yesterday now, and I'm dreading it. Jenny's so into it. You know what I mean? She is such an invested mom. She wants to push them on. She wants to work with the teachers. And honestly, here's me in my head thinking of the funny things the kids told me about the teachers, or you know what I mean, stuff like that. Like Jenny was having a conversation with Robin's teacher about nouns. Did you know there's different types of nouns? There's like common nouns and proper nouns. So like, yeah, honestly, this was itching at my head, and I wanted to ask it, but I was there like, I'll leave Jenny down badly here if I go, what's the crack with the nouns? So I waited till we got back out into the car. I was there, what's the crack with a common noun? And she was there, what are you at? So you don't know this either.
Not a clue.
A common noun is like the city, whereas a proper noun is Cork. You know what I mean?
Oh,
so
okay.
A common noun, the mountain, where, you know what I mean?
You're just showing us up how thick we are. You're done. You're kidding me. Well, anyway, at least you're learning something.
There you go. Take that, Michael O'Leary. Get in, sit on a small chair, eyeball them, and learn something new.
They get stuff done. I had one the other day. Is my 4-year-old is like, do you know what I mean? We had a meeting with the parents. Or with the teachers. And I mean, you're sitting there on the little chairs and they're talking to him about like, you know, how to do an M, like letters and stuff at 4. I mean, I kind of think back when I was 4. You know, my parents, I don't think there were parent-teacher meetings, but if there was, it would be now, Mr. and Mrs. Bowe, Tommy took a shit in the sandpit the other day.
Definitely would have been the case.
I mean, there's no way I was learning to read or whatever else. It's just send them out to the playground and run like crazy. Run
Exactly. 4 years of age, Donncha O'Callaghan, Mary going in. Yeah, Miss O'Callaghan, will you have a word with your son about licking the blackboard? You know what I mean? That's what we're at. Sorry, whatever about Robin. Robin's like in 5th class. She's 10 years of age. That makes sense for her to have a parent-teacher meeting. 4-year-olds, like, give them a break.
Insane. But it is always fun. Like, do you have any who are they hanging out with? Anyway,
brilliant.
Listen, you'd nearly think with some of the new lads into this Irish team for Fiji, I mean, they're not far from their parent-teacher meetings as well. Yeah. I suppose we have to say, like, congratulations, Gus McCarthy, 21 years of age. He's going to be starting. Cormac Izuchukwu as well. Brilliant. We've been talking about him before. He's a talent. Really to look out for him at 6. And 2 lads who obviously went to the Emerging Ireland Tour, obviously impressed. Sam Prendergast as well. He's starting. He was on that tour. So a good mix between kind of that experience and youth, you reckon?
Yeah, I think you've nailed it. I just look at it from me. You've mentioned Gus and Cormac there. If I'm coming into a pack, Tommy, I want structure around me. I want stability. I want guys that have been there and done it. And if you kind of look at it, that front row to pop him in there. And for me, like, we've seen Gus with the under-20s leading them to a Grand Slam win. So this, like, he's on the path. We've been keeping an eye on him. No, we said it last week. This is a chance to launch, man. If you want to grab it, now's the time to go. And I feel that way for Cormac in a big way, because I actually think it's probably something that's missing. I think Tyke Byrne is one of our best forwards. But for me personally, I think he's the second row. I think when you play him in that 6 role, he gets lost to the work, whereas he can overachieve at 5. I would see him as a 5.5, if you know what I mean. So I like the shape of that back row, and for Cormac to come into it, like Doris has been mentioned for World Player of the Year. Van der Fleer has won it before. The amount you're going to learn within that position. And you nailed it. An important thing for me, I think with Sam Prendergast, if we didn't have the development tour to South Africa, we couldn't be chanting about Sam Prendergast. At the moment, no, we are chanting him and he gets to fire a shot.
As we said with that, you got to see him 3 games in a row where he wouldn't have got that with the likes of Leinster. Listen, I've got one for you, because it's great to see those young fellas. And I think with Izuchuku coming on, he could be an X-Factor ball carrier as well, which is really good to look forward to. But I have to ask you, right? Think about this one. Tom O'Toole, loose head on the bench, which is interesting because traditionally he would have been a tight head, but we know there's a shortage of loose heads. I know that they're earmarking him as potentially to be the man behind Porter. So he goes well this weekend, ends up on the bench next weekend behind Porter. Keane Healey, who's obviously level with Brian O'Driscoll for the most cap player in Irish history ever, might not get the chance to pass him out.
Oh, so you're calling it like...
Well, listen, if he goes well. I mean, the one thing with Andy Farrell, because a lot of people go, they'd give it to him. But there's one thing with Andy Farrell, and he's shown it time and time again, he gives you nothing. You deserve it.
Nothing. Even
and
this
Keane
week,
does deserve it. But if Tom O'Toole goes well and we want to see the best for Irish rugby going forward, could be something.
Yeah, I agree. He does nothing soft. But one thing I'd say about Keane Healey, right, genuinely, just knowing the fella as well, he'd want it that way. You want it to be a bit dagger. Of course you want to go out, but you don't want to fade, man. You want to be nearly carried back on your shield, to quote the Spartans. You know what I mean?
He wants to get the cap, though. He wants a minute the 100%. Pitch.
Do you remember it, Tommy? I got to 94, and I remember hiding my jersey when I'd call into Rala's room, because you want no one to know that you're close to milestones, because the pressure is horrible, isn't it?
I got stuck on 69.
I certainly think he deserves it. What are you laughing at?
I got stuck on 69. I was dying to get to 70 because bloody Trimble was on 70. Couldn't believe it.
I love it.
And it was Stringer. Is Stringer on 99?
Strings is on 98, I think. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, but he's very, very close. Rob Kearney's thereabout as well on kind of 96, I think. There's a few of us in the 90s.
Yeah, you would so how many Lions caps did you get?
4.
So that takes you up to 98.
Yeah, and if I was Welsh, I'd call the Babas games. Would I get away with those?
Of course. Get yourself into the Centurion Club.
Isn't that what Jamie did? Didn't Jamie just add up a load of combined totals?
I think he went on the Emerging Ireland tour and got a couple of those caps thrown on. He got himself the Emerging Ireland hat anyway.
To answer your question, yes is the answer. What Farrell wants out of everyone here is to grab. If Tom can keep Keane out, I'd say he'd be absolutely delighted. Farrell's emotional intelligence is through the roof though as well, and I think an awful lot of that could be led throughout the week. So I think there's real opportunity though, isn't there? Like I love the look of this team. I love that he's kind of stayed true in certain positions, and I always like it in any team. I love when there's family blood. You know what I mean? Sam playing, Keane on the bench. That mightn't have happened since the Wallaces. David and Paul, maybe. I don't know. I need to check it. But when you think of brothers, I always feel a rugby team that has bloodlines, it gets a little edgier. You know what I mean?
Big time. And there's definitely. I mean, when you have 2 brothers getting to play for Ireland, play for their country, my good, imagine being the parents. That amazing.
There you go, Mrs. Prendergast. Take
Congratulations.
a bow.
Congratulations. And I think with Sam Prendergast, it's worth mentioning, he is getting the start for all he's on the bench. I still think even after last weekend, particularly the first 40 minutes, Crowley's still the man in the 10 jersey.
100% agreed. So let's not bow down to the blue media hype that is all around. Just on it, can I touch on it? Crowley has been brilliant, right? If you take the time he hasn't been on the pitch, the 40 minutes, we haven't scored a jot. Last week, he got a full house, which is hard to do even in a club match. A try, a drop goal, a conversion, a penalty, and listen, you don't hear a murmur.
We're not the blue media. Relax.
No, I know that.
Let's leave it. Did you ever play Fiji?
Just one thing I do want to touch on it, though. A small little thing. We need to see Sam
Burns
Moore.
should be captain. What?
We need to see Sam Moore. He is the real deal. Start playing him, Leinster. Start playing him. If you want all the, you know what I mean? If you want all the fuss, if you want all the debate, tog him out in blue and then we'll see him in green. You know what I mean? We all wanted to.
Yeah, true. Fair enough.
Sorry,
and that is fair point.
You there for no reason.
Go on. Did you play, so Fiji are the only team in the top 15 I never played against.
Did you not?
Yeah, only team.
I tugged out against Fiji 3 times, I think. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so I'll be honest with you, a bit like this, there was always a rotation within the squad and it was a chance to give younger guys an opportunity, but you know the way you like, you know what I mean? Who do we rest, Paul or Donncha? You know what I mean? Dunners you're tugging out, which I always loved, Tommy, but there was always the feeling afterwards, because I'm telling you, this is a banana skin. Like, you have to play so well, and you actually have to, the moving parts of a lot of changes can go against you a little bit. That kind of cohesion of being a unit really matters when you play against Fiji. And I always found we would come in after an absolutely really tough game, and you'd have all the heroes coming in afterwards and all the number ones going, geez, that was closer than it needed to be, wasn't it? And you were there. You tried tackling some of these beauties.
Did you play against them in 2012? I think that was my only opportunity, 2012, but it was played in Thomond Park.
Yeah, I played then, yeah.
Did you? So they made you tog out for that went down as an emerging Ireland. Well done,
yeah,
you have got a cap for them.
I know. You say, add that on and I'm on 99.
But that's kind of unfair, isn't it?
Well, it is unfair with the pace that we took that day, man. Because I remember it, Tommy, they were annoyed. The Fijians were annoyed. They were like, why do you disrespect this match?
It is a bit.
Capping it.
It is a bit. That's a disrespect. Now, Ireland won comfortably that day. I think it was 60 points. But I mean, to think that it wasn't classed as an international match for them, I can see the disrespect.
But then the thing is, they're taking it out on us who would kill for that cap. You know what I mean? I'm there. I didn't decide this over some naming rights of a stadium or whatever it is. I'm out here trying to give it my best. But one thing I'll say, Tommy, I swapped my jersey afterwards, and it was really special because the Fijian players, they nearly personalise their jerseys. You know what I mean? They take kind of markers and they put in Bible quotes and they write down family poems. I remember on the jersey, in under the crest and stuff like that, and down beside their name. Oh, it was beautiful. I remember actually bringing it in because normally you throw the stuff in with Rala and it goes down the Yellow Brick Road and it comes back in the wash. But I was there. I want to hold on to this because I don't want to lose. You like these to be washed off, and they were able to kind of. It was a permanent marker. It was grand. But I thought it was a really cool thing, man. I thought it was cool that they personalised it. It meant so much. It was just I'd never seen it before, and to swap a jersey like that, and not only to know that it means so much to the country, but to know that it meant so much to the players was...
I just love Fiji. I grew up watching Serevi in the Sevens. I had the Sevens jersey. It was like the one jersey that I had stuck to me growing up. And, I'm gutted I never got to get a Fiji jersey. And even it's just their they're so talented, these guys. You know, you're tearing your hair out, because if they just had a bit of structure, my God, the damage they could do, and potentially a banana skin for Ireland for the weekend. But like, it's just they're singing, and like, you know, after the match, they sing in a huddle together. It's just something beautiful about it.
That is, you touched on a number of things. I think the structure is getting there. If you look how they performed against Wales, now I know everyone will go on about the 20-minute red card, but just how they control that match.
And that it's Wales.
And it was Wales, yeah, which is kind of harsh to say, yeah, but they managed it, and they stayed in the wrestle and got the result. I definitely think their structure, you're right, that there is beautiful things you get to see after matches. Fellas, you know, always the first caps maybe sing and stuff like that, but the Fijians sing in a kind of harmony and in a kind of structure together. And it is the most beautiful thing you will ever see in a post-match event. It is incredible just to take it in. And do you know what, man? They're all love, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. They're just smiles, happy. Yeah, there's something really special about it. And as you say, writing that stuff on their jersey, you know, just shows how important it is to them and whatever else too. It's going to be a class match. Actually, I'm really looking forward to this, and for a lot of those young guys to get an opportunity with Doris. Go on, what are you going to say?
Go on. I was just thinking of a funny story. I played with Tavita in Worcester, who was the second row in Fiji. But typical, like, Mario Callahan met him one time, and she was there, Tavita, where in Fiji are you from, love? And I was there like, you're not going to work out a family history here, Mom. You know what I mean? She was trying to kind of, and then I could hear her going, do you know the O'Halpines? I was there, you know what I mean? That Irish beauty of trying to tie the Fijians in. How do we know them?
Oh, listen, I remember actually playing against the likes of Nadolo. Do you remember, like, some of the players they had? Like, that guy, Nadolo, I actually would say he is probably one of the greatest players of all time. Actually, I'm trying to look up his stats at the minute here.
Well,
I mean,
you know what you look up? Check out his quad size. Do you remember his quads?
Oh, listen, I know, because I had to try and tackle it.
Brilliant. Ring a steal there, Tommy.
Like,
no chance.
I think he had 69 caps for Montpellier, and I think it was like 55 tries. He had 50 caps for, I don't know, some other team, Japan. I think he had about 50 tries. Leicester Tigers, he had 40 caps. He had pretty much about 30 tries. Like, his scoring record for such a big man, and the skills, he used to chip it over as well. I played against him once, and I swear to God, I never want to play against him. It was actually embarrassing. He was just got it all.
But they're so true to their identity. If you watch in the closing seconds against Wales, all they have to do is put the ball out. They're in their in-goal area and they run, and you're there like lunatics. But don't you? Like, I'll be honest with you. Personally, I feel rugby's in a weird spot at the moment, and Fiji are the light. You know what I mean?
I'm looking at the stats, this guy again, Nadolo. 6'5", 21 stone, playing on the wing, and used to kick for Fiji as well. Kick goals. I mean, he could do everything.
He'd quads like tanks, man. He could have kicked from Cork.
Unreal. He's a man who should have won World Player of the Year. Brings us into World Player of the Year quickly. Who's your call for it? We'll just go the 15s. We're going Erin King, obviously. She's breakthrough on the women's 15s. She's the Irish representative on that. You have Terry in the 7s. And Doris, do you think Doris got a chance with the 15s? He's obviously up against Colby,
do you know what?
Etzebeth and Dutoy.
Yeah, I just think the small matter of course, he's been outstanding, but I think that winning has to matter, and winning a World Cup certainly does. Of course, you'll go with Chelsea, you know what I mean?
I won't, because I don't think... Does Steph Dutoy and Colby, are they both in Japan now?
Yes. Well, Colby definitely is, but I'm not too sure about Dutoy.
I don't think if Colby is playing in Japan, I don't think it's a fair reflection. And I don't think if you're playing at that level all the time, that's maybe a bit unfair.
I'm always going to row for a second row, and especially front five. But if I'm being honest as well, he has been immense. Etzebeth has been immense for South Africa.
Yeah.
And not only, I know that we'll kind of go, it's a bit watered down this year, but if you remember that Challenge Cup, his performance in that was incredible too for the Sharks to win it.
Yeah.
So I think winning has to matter. You have to pick up silverware, and he's certainly done that, and he's one of the front.
So you're going Etzebeth?
Yeah, for me, definitely would. Probably loyalty to your second row brothers.
Yeah.
But
Well, I'm going for Doris because he's going to be the Lions captain. He's going to win that silverware. Maybe keep it for next year then, Doris.
look at
Fair
you.
play.
You just know you're going to bump into him at the match and be like, I got your back, Hale.
But Dutoy does play in Japan. So,
Does
and
he?
Colby does play in Japan as well.
I love the way we make that sound pure simple.
Well, I know the league has gotten better, Dunners, but it's not at the level of what the French league or the English league or the URC is at.
I worry, Tommy. I think we're actually overhyping an awful lot of our leagues, and what we're actually seeing is the results. If you look at England at the moment, I thought it was really interesting, Borthwick saying they're not fit enough. And straight away what they'll all do is go, oh, strength and conditioning. How do we fix it in strength and condition? I actually think you got to fix your league. Like, I played in that with Worcester. It is a really hard physical league. It's down the barrel every time. But when it comes to tempo and pace, it's very slow, man. It's very, very slow.
Because obviously the English Premiership's going through its own issues. We might talk about that in a minute as well, about what's going on in the world game. With English clubs obviously folding. I thought at the minute the rugby that they're playing in the Premiership is really exciting. It's not the slow trudgery. They've gone okay in Europe last year. Do you think that it's not at the is the English Premiership, is that the reason why English...
Just from my own experience in it, and look, I know you'll say you're out of it in too long now, and it has changed and evolved. I can honestly tell you, a game on TV, it's like everyone steps up. You know what I mean? It's like that scene in Father Ted. Hiya, Ted, I was just washing Mary's hair. You know what I mean? You're there like, this isn't reality at all. Like, the majority, I'll never forget my first game for Worcester against Leicester, and they scored a try from our 22, and the rugby ball wasn't passed once. So basically, scrum till they got a penalty, kicked it at the corner, maul till I got sin binned, scrum, penalty, try. The only person to touch the ball was the 9 to put it into scrums, the hooker to throw it into lineouts.
Is this why you were captain?
I wasn't captain that year, but yeah. I'm just thinking away. People loved it, and if you're into that type of rugby, fair enough. But what England are doing now at the moment, they're saying 60-minute mark, we can't get anything out of our bench. Your problem isn't your bench. Your problem is the other 8 lads that are absolutely, you know what I mean, not fit for purpose, I feel, when it comes to playing international level.
Well, didn't they keep forward on the bench and it didn't even bring him on?
Yeah. But then again, there's an interesting one, because everyone throws stink bombs at Razzie, right? But Razzie doesn't waste one spot on his bench.
I don't agree with this. 7 forwards on the bench. I don't agree with it.
I actually think we don't have enough forwards on the bench, Tommy.
Of course you don't. But you honestly don't.
No, hold on a second, right?
It's not good for the game.
No, it is good for the game, because all the other coaches have to step up. Basically,
and bring their own 7 forwards, more forwards.
But Tommy, what he's doing is he's manipulating guys to do different jobs. That actually takes more work. If you look at it there, right? Why didn't Borthwick cover that Slade could play 10, and then he could have added another impact player off his bench?
Well, I agree with that. I agree if he thinks he's because the previous week he kept Marcus Smith on, and then it looked like Marcus Smith was playing brilliantly, and then with 20 minutes to go, they took him off, and it was why are you doing that? And of course, then last weekend, Smith was going well, and he didn't take him off, but he kept forward on the bench. And then you're kind of thinking, is that a wasted spot? So, yes, maybe you've got a point in the fact that having a utility back on the bench that can play centre or 10 is better off.
No, I see, this is what I actually think there's unbelievable disrespect to Razzie. I think... I
love that he's pushing it, and I love that he's trying different things, and good on him because he thinks outside the box. But I do think that it shows that the forwards are the weak part of the game, that if you keep that 8 on the pitch the whole match. So what he's doing is then, because once they get tired, that's where the holes open up, and that's where the teams find opportunities. So he's then nullified that by bringing on 7 forwards, a whole new pack. But that's cutting out all the space. It's making the game more compact, less space.
But look at Gatlin. Look at Gatlin when he tried a 6-2, and he put someone on the wing that had never played there and wasn't what I'm saying is, what Razzie is doing is he's thinking of every scenario. He's covered every base that he can actually cover his ass and go 7-1. He has worked with all those players. If you put any of those in, they've practiced the positions, they've practice the plays. And I'd agree with you. I think for the game, it's not a good look. But stop whining about the 7-1 unless you're going to everyone up your coaching standards.
Yeah,
the standard of coaching, I don't feel is up to his level at the moment. He's taken a point of difference and run with it.
Well, and listen, it's worked for him. Like, he's won the 2 last World Cups. And what he has done for South African rugby is amazing. And I do love that he is mixing it up. But I do think, listen, I don't think it's good for the game. Another thing I want to get your opinion on, if it's good for the game, right? It's this new breakaway rugby league. You've obviously heard about it. It's been in the news this week. It's talking about playing 14 weeks. They're trying to copy like the LIV Golf or the Formula 1 model, or even like the Rugby Sevens, where they play in Hong Kong, London, maybe Dublin, San Francisco, Wellington, Cape Town, and bring in, like, make it like a 3-day event, huge interest and spectators around it. You're going to have 8 men's teams and 4 women's teams. And they're talking about paying the players big bucks. Like, they're talking about the top 40, 50 players in the world potentially getting like 750 grand to $1 million a year to try and break away from the league. What do you think? If you were in Munster, right? I know before you went to Worcester, where you were a one club man and that's all you ever dreamed of. If something like this came along and they offered you $500,000 or 750 grand, $1 million, would you be turned?
I suppose, like, we spoke about it last night, Tommy. Your time in it is finite, and it's what you want to achieve out of it. I don't fault anyone for securing their future and trying to provide for their family. And if those players could definitely get more money, they should certainly look at it. Personally, I don't think, like, when we look at salaries in different sports, like rugby players, for what they do, it's quite amazing. You know what I mean? I wouldn't begrudge any of them. I do love the structure of our game. I love that the club and the provinces mean stuff. I do like that it feeds up from Europe and Ireland, international level. But I actually think that's really disjointed at the moment. And we probably do need something to put shape on it, whether that's a global calendar or something. But the way we're going at the moment...
Like, we talk about, like, there's too many matches. Like, in Ireland, the players are extremely well looked after. But if you're playing for England at the minute, there's probably 10 test matches a season. Those guys are playing 25 matches at least for their club, probably 30. So that's, 35, 40 matches a season. It's unbelievable. And when we're talking about player welfare, now, I do have to say the players, and particularly the top players, are getting well paid. So people could say they're being greedy by going off and trying to pick up another bigger contract. But I just do think that if we're talking about, like, say these top players were the DuPonts and the Dorises, they're allowed to still play international rugby. They go off and play this 14-game competition. They get paid very well for that. Like, I would just think, right, from an Ulster point of view, we might not lose many players. Munster, they might lose a Tyke Byrne, maybe 1 or 2 players. Leinster would obviously be penalised with. But I still think you would have the provinces. I still think you would have the URC. So losing maybe 3 or 4 players from each team or the top teams, it's not going to have a huge difference.
Yeah, well, it's funny you say it, because I think we have a massive problem in the game. I think the top-end players play too much rugby, and then there's a group that don't play enough. And we've seen that with the development tour. We wouldn't see these 3 lads if we didn't go to South Africa, togging out. And, like, if you think of it, our league is stood down at the moment. The URC, we're not playing. So, like, at the moment in Ireland, there's, like, hopefully some dip in and play IL. But professional matches this weekend, I know there's A games, but, like, there's too much. Some players aren't playing enough. And then, I agree with you, I actually think the top-end lads are probably playing too much. That would be amazing. I wonder how many of those professional players, Tommy, if you said to them, we'd reduce your salary, but you only play 14 games in the year, I think that would be of interest to players.
And I don't think it would impact the club game. Like, it would actually, because it's a private enterprise, it would mean Leinster aren't paying their wages for their top players anyway. The IRFU are. The IRFU wouldn't have to pay their top 5-6 players, which means that money that they're getting from, say, the Six Nations would then go back to the clubs.
Brilliant.
So you're actually getting better wages.
Go back to the club. So Leinster then can sign all the Barretts and all the South Africans.
Well, they'll already be at that league, so it doesn't matter. There's going to be nobody left.
Yeah, it's a state of flux. Personally, I don't think it's the right avenue to go down. I think we need a global calendar. I think we badly need to fix Europe. I think Europe has been a joke shop for the last few years. The fact that you can make the last 16 on losing bonus points takes away from one of our greatest competitions. I also think we need to throw a hand up. We need to find a way to get Portugal and Georgia involved. Like, if you look at those games, I think they're important. And like, how can we grow the game if we don't have teams like that coming along? So I don't know, it's a franchise league the way to go. Huh?
But like, people are talking about getting rid of Italy. You can't be going to talk about getting rid of Italy and bringing in Georgia and Portugal.
No, but I wonder, honestly, what's wrong with nations? You know what I mean? Genuinely, like, there's just 2 more games that the top end fellas play while the URC cracks on. Why are we leaving everything for the top end players to pick up? And then, thankfully, in Ireland, we actually manage them so we don't see them a whole lot. And I actually think that's the error of maybe the Welsh, the Scottish and the English, because we can rotate. Well, Leinster can rotate and get away with it, you know?
Yeah. No, fair enough. Listen, we're going to finish up there. We were at the match last weekend. We met Michael Flatley as well. Tell you, we could do with him out on the pitch there as well. Big fan there at the minute.
Yourself and Flats. Did you get chatting to him?
I was chatting to, sure, like old buddies going back in the day. Huh?
Did he take out his flute?
It's like Ron Burgundy just has it up his sleeve at any moment.
Michael, show us your flute. Tommy shouting after him. Can I tell you, Tommy? We played Wasps one time, and he was leaving the stadium the same time as the bus from Thomond, and we saw him, and he was getting potholed. Loads of people annoying him. So someone said, throw him on the bus, you know? And we had just had a good win. And as soon as he stepped on the bus, of course, great crack O'Callaghan, I broke into, dance, dance, wherever you may be. I am the Lord of the dance, said he. And all the lads left me hanging a little bit. And he was there, oh, Donncha, good on you. He knew my name, man.
Did he?
He loves rugby.
Yeah, he does.
Sat in my heels. I was like, oh jeez, go on, Flats.
And fair play to him knowing you.
Exactly it. It must have been badly stuck. But he actually gave me a compliment. He went, you did really well at stopping that maul in the... I was like, oh my goodness. And then he backed it up with the penalty on the 53rd minute. Jeez, that kept him in it.
Listen, nobody knows who stops that maul. That is such a generic throw to a forward. Do you mean? I mean,
I was there like this.
Could have stopped that. Here, I do have to say as well.
Flatley sees the minute detail.
With Adele McMahon as well, who of course captains the Irish 15s team at the minute. She's a legend. She was really good chatting as well about how the women's game, the work that's been put into it to get up to this first level, to beat New Zealand. Like, I just found her talking. It was really fascinating to see what's going on in the game, and her playing over in Exeter at the minute. Like, what an opportunity.
And we've seen it. You know leaders, don't you?
Yeah,
you know Brian,
class.
you know Paulie, and she's got that. Do you know what? This mad thing. I wouldn't cross her.
It was like the two dopes up on stage and her with a bit of common sense in the middle.
Exactly. Pinky in the brain and poor old Adele in the middle of it.
Oh, I felt sorry for her. Anyway, listen, that's all we have time for today. Please do subscribe. Please do tell your friends. Check it out. Go down there. Get your Christmas presents for 15 Kings. We're only 5 weeks to Christmas.
Come on.
And listen, enjoy the match this weekend, and we'll see you next week.
Slán.